Get in, nerds. We are playing Victoria 3. I just realized I need to reset production methods for Argentina. So we'll go ahead and do that. Yeah, a bunch of changes to be made to the way things are getting done over here. I'm guessing these are textile mills that can't operate properly, but we can operate them a lot better by using sewing machines. And we'll do the same thing. Nope. Where's the other one? Hold on. Yes. Corrientes. I'm going to need to learn the names of these places. Alright, perfect. So that'll help. And next, let's look at the positivist stage. Followers of the social theory of positivism have begun organizing for political reforms in Brazil. The positivists desire to focus on the future of Brazil for the nation and to develop and industrialize under the governance of technical experts. Effects at the conclusion of this journal entry will depend on the degree of influence that the positivists secure. Positivism is the philosophical theory that all things may be derived by logic and reason from the senses. The positivist movement advocates for reforms based on the scientific principles. To advance beyond the theorized theological and metaphysical stages of human development, and establish a society based on full knowledge of the natural world. So this will complete if the progress bar has reached 100%. If completed, the effects of the event will be enhanced by the current influence of the positivists. Triggers event the positive epoch. If time runs out, triggers the event a peculiar cult. The effects will be enhanced by the current influence of the positivists. So we're at 5%. Our two options are we can sponsor positivist philosophy. This makes lower stardom pops more radical and gives 10 progress. And the positive stage decisions will become available again in 1 year. Provide political support to the figures spreading positivist philosophy within the armed forces and middle classes, or we can suppress positivist organizations. Suppress the actions of positivist organizations to avert the spread of this dangerous philosophical tendency. There's the telephone. Excellent. Influence of positivists will retreat by 10. 2% of middle strata pops will become more radical and cool down in 1 year. So, what is positivism? Well, this guy's a positivist. Let's see. Their stance on governance principles is their for presidential republic, neutral on parliamentary republic, and against theocracy, council republic, and monarchy. Let me read you the description first, and then we'll go on to the other stuff. This character is an ardent technocrat and anti-clericalist, disdaining both the arbitrary power of monarchs and the fickle whims of the public. So, for church and state, they strongly oppose state religion, they oppose freedom of conscience, they endorse total separation of church and state, and they strongly endorse state atheism. For distro power, they're strongly against universal suffrage and anarchy. They oppose census suffrage and landed voting. They're neutral on autocracy and oligarchy. They endorse single-party state and wealth voting, and they strongly endorse technocracy. And then for bureaucrats, they strongly endorse appointed, strongly oppose hereditary, and oppose elected. So, they're kind of weird. I don't think we're going to support these guys. We're going for a suffrage-based liberal state at the moment. So we'll kind of continue with that plan. I think we can go a little farther. We can't quite go any farther with education, but since we just unlocked telephones... Oh, we can't go to the higher production method for our government admins and of central planning, and we can't get that until we've finished out the rest of the third tier. So I think maybe we'll queue into that next. We'll go feminism, then pan-nationalism, then mutual funds. We do have a little bit more authority to play with, so let's go ahead and throw a consumption tax in there. Luxury clothes, we can get 29.1k, and that should be perfectly fine. That should help our finances significantly. We've still got a little bit of infamy. And we're hurtling towards a Patagonian secession, so we'll go ahead and let that happen, and we'll fight that out, and then we'll deal with what we need to deal with. Once again, this is a few territories here in Argentina. That's going to slow down incorporation, but that's all right. So there's our secession. We'll grab the 1st Brazilian Reserve Army and place them on the front here. The Mapuche uprising has 2 battalions, so I'm not concerned about it. We got a 7th Brazilian Army that needs to have its infantry upgraded. And then it can be disbanded, and those troops can be incorporated into a different army. Again, trying to keep costs low. This should reduce turmoil in these areas once this war is fought, which seems ahistorical and perhaps unlikely, but I do think that's how it works mechanically in the game. There we go. These are going to go to the 2nd Brazilian Reserve Army. That's absolutely fine. Completely fine with me, except we're over on some of these units, so we'll just go ahead and cut a few of the other types. Some of these infantry units can't hire, which is a shame. Oh, man. 29 manpower. Yeah, that can go. Alright, that should be alright. Except we're over on the other stuff. Let's cut another unit of shrapnel artillery. And then hopefully that army will be set. Force comparisons here, 97. We have 97% advantage, so I'm feeling pretty confident in our ability to win there. We'll start incorporating these territories again afterward, and that should be just fine. So once this... Ooh. A Prussian uprising. Can't ask for cash. Shame. So this is going to pull in Prussia, right? It's going to be Prussia versus Scandinavia. That's going to be a tough fight for Scandinavia to win, I suspect. Except that Prussia is on the side of Scandinavia, likely, because... Well, they're damaging relations with Scandinavia. That's weird. They've got an alliance, and they're in their customs union. Oh man, what a weird situation. How very curious. Finnish mass immigration, excellent. Finnish people are coming to Para, wonderful. So I think after this, we might go after Nicaragua. Let me see, I believe... The population here is, yeah, Central American. They're Hispanophone and European heritage, which means they'll be accepted. El Salvador, Central American, Honduras, mostly Central American, tiny amount of Mosquito people. Again, the Mosquito Kingdom is our protectorate. We're perfectly able to continue to have them be a protectorate because those people would be discriminated in our country if we annexed them. So I'm perfectly happy with doing things like this. Exactly the way we're doing them. There's war propaganda. Wonderful. Military science. The practical and scientific nature of positivism has led to the growing popularity of positivist thought in the armed forces. Many professors and officers in the Brazilian military academies have come to embrace the philosophy. Ooh, oil in Rio Grande do Sul. Wonderful. Through rational observation and a personal understanding, a leader can whittle the engines of war to a finely tuned circulation. A precise calculation of which artillery can put the right amount of ammunition on target, with variables accounted for, maximum effect, and minimal casualties. Men supplied and armed with exactly what they would need, plus a little extra, and just enough motivation to storm a fort. Wars of the far future may become bloodier, but they will at least be efficient. A foundation for a new military doctrine, 10% military research speed, 5 progress to the positivists. The Academy should embrace this trend further. 10% stronger armed forces. Positivists will acquire influence in the armed forces academies. 5% military research speed instead of 10, and they get 10 progress. Or this sentiment could bolster Antonio de Sousa Neto's reform proposals. 10% political strength, 5% research speed, 20 influence to the positivists. Antonio de Sousa Neto will change to positivists. So I'm just going to go with this first one. I'm okay if they get 5 influence. And I love that military research speed bonus. What's their capital? Is this? Yeah, that's their capital, Patagonia. So if we can take over that area, that'll be a victory for us. Economy is continuing to grow pretty sharply. We are the number 3 economy on Earth at this point, second only to France and Britain, so I'm pretty happy with that. We'll continue to grow in this way. Clothes are still expensive, so let's see if we can't find anywhere else to export our luxury clothes. If we can't really, maybe I'll grab a few of these textile mills and get them to reduce their production methods from a luxury clothes perspective so that they can produce more regular clothes. International telephone exchange. It's been suggested that by establishing a cross-border telephone exchange with the Mapuche uprising, we can improve relations more easily. It certainly cuts down on misunderstandings, so we can just pick up the telephone and work out what's going on across the border. I'm going to say it sounds like a great idea, not because I want to improve relations with them, but because, I don't know, that's going to be our country in a bit. Did our guys seriously go to the other front? I guess they did. Well, never mind then. It's fine. It's fine. We've got a hold of the entire country, I swear. So that means that'll be sorted pretty soon. There's no way we're going to be able to get them out before they basically surrender, so we'll just wait for them to be annexed. Things have popped off in Scandinavia. Prussia is not in the war. So yeah, it's just a tiny Prussian uprising against Scandinavia. They're fully occupied, so Scandinavia is probably going to take it. And Schleswig is independent and rivaling Scandinavia. That's really curious. What if we improve relations with them? I don't know where I'm going with it. Oh, no, they're communists. Hold on. We're not doing a communism. Why are you doing a communism? Autocratic Council Republic, but they're going to technocracy. That's interesting. Prussia sides of Anhalt. Let me see. Anhaltian capitalist revolt. Over here we've got a communist revolt in Hamburg. We've got a peasant revolt in Denmark. Another rubber rush event, and yes, this one. This is the Alsatian capitalist revolt, but Anhalt has pulled Prussia in, so that should be completely fine. Temples of Humanity. The Positivist Church of Brazil has petitioned to be allowed to construct an additional church in Santa Cruz. The proposed Temple of Humanity will serve as an important node of positivist activities. There's already a temple in Rio de Janeiro, and now they want another in Santa Cruz? Surely this would be an inquisition upon us all for this. I wouldn't worry. They sound like Catholics anyway. If there's an inquisition at all, they'll just take the few priests and baptize them. Maybe that would be a real reason to attend Mass on Sunday. You don't attend Mass on Sunday? What does your mother think of this? So, this is interesting. We're already an atheist state. So, I think we already got rid of the temples. We don't want more temples. So, I'm going to just say no. They'll lose 10 influence. We'll piss off the petit bourgeois even more. Gosh, they're still happy +5. They're still providing their 10% bureaucracy, which I'm pleased about. But, you know, it is what it is. Rubber Rush. This place seems to be most effective. I'm going to be always doing that. We do have another exploit Amazonian state. Ooh. Manaus. Perry of the Tropics. Teeming with fabulously wealthy robber barons, the city of Manaus, at the heart of the once inhospitable jungle, has become as grand and gaudy as any European city. New prestige works emerge by the week. In Manaus, every luxury is present. The robber barons are a competitive sort, and any new fancy or fashion becomes an arms race of excess. When walking the streets, one could almost imagine that they are in Paris, save for the heat. I have one dream, the opera, a great opera in the jungle. This creates a size 2 Arts Academy in Amazonas. 20% Arts Academy throughput and 50% migration attraction. It'll also lose this this Taming the Amazon debuff. Or what would a tropical Paris be without lights? 10 prestige and minus 20% decree cost permanently. Oh, that's so good. We'll do the second one for sure. It'll lose the debuff and get 50% migration attraction for both. So we'll do the second one, and that's just wonderful. All right, Amazonas is the parry of the Amazon, and we no longer have a throughput penalty. I guess we got a little bit of a penalty for another 30 months, which is 2.5 years, but it shouldn't be that much of a problem. All right, let's get these states incorporating again. They've lost some time, so the others are pretty close, are a few years ahead, but that's all right. We've got plenty of capacity for that. Do I want to increase bureaucratic capacity so that I can immediately get started with another set of education facilities? I think yes, actually. So we'll go ahead and get those building. We'll just put some in Rio de Janeiro. And some in Minas Gerais. That should be more than enough. Things are going buck wild still in Europe. There's a communist revolt in Saxe-Meiningen. Let's see. Denmark, what are you? Can you give me anything useful? Trade agreement? I don't want a customs union. All right, I'm going to leave Denmark alone. I don't feel any need to be involved in that. This one, the Prussians have got it, so I don't need to worry about that. This one is UK versus Dar el Kuti. Will you give me huge money? No? Okay. So we'll go ahead and declare neutrality in this. It doesn't seem like anyone else is going to get involved. This one is a communist revolt in Hamburg. Will they give us anything? No. We'll declare neutrality on that. And then Saxe-Meiningen is closing in on getting ready to pop off. Diplomatically in Indonesia, we have a proletarian revolt in Sintang. The proletarian revolt would let us have an obligation, but I don't need that, so we'll go ahead and put an end to that. And then, let's just wait until this one goes, so that we can continue to see how things go. They would give us an obligation, but that's not useful to us, so we'll just go ahead and declare neutrality on that. All right, so next, I think I'm going to go for invading Nicaragua. Conqueror is going to be 14.7 infamy. There are a bunch of countries that could intervene, but nobody seems particularly interested. Guatemala might align with them. That's completely fine with me if they do. Other than that, I'm basically neutral. No one with a capacity to really create a problem for us would, so I'll just go ahead and get started with that. If somehow someone with a real military decides to get in there, we'll need to deal with things. We'll go ahead and increase taxes. I'm going to reset production methods again for these other states. And let's see, practicing positivists. I'm no longer going to be damaging relations with Nicaragua. I think that's completely meaningless at this point. The philosophy of positivism is spread beyond the positive church, with many engineers, academics, and officers adopting its scientific principles in order to fulfill their reformist ambitions. Natural law was one of the first things to go under this new judge. One gavel stroke, and thus ended any claims to the naturalness of any man seeking recompense for damaged goods. If there was no explicit command from governance to do so, it was no law to be followed, merely guidelines to be interpreted until commands are set forth. A great benefit to the reformist cause. More positivist characters, influence increases by 10. Or there are surely more reasonable forms of politics. Slightly more likely to appear characters, influence reduces by 10. I'm going to do the second one. We don't want anything to do with that. We got a shortage because I think I just turned this unit into a siege artillery unit. That was an error. You need to be shrapnel artillery. You can't. Unit types are too different. Alright, well, we'll just get rid of it. That's fine. You can go to the 2nd Brazilian Reserve Army. Alright, and this territory is held by Great Britain. Alright, cool. Oh, I should put an army over there, huh? Let's grab the 1st Brazilian Reserve Army. They've had good success in the field. Let's see. No one seems particularly interested in getting involved. So I'm feeling pretty confident that I can just let this one go and win the war completely on my own military strength, which I'd be pleased about if I could do that. Literacy is still going up, but it's going up slower than it has been. We built a bunch more universities. That's giving us way more tech spread than we've had before. But some of this will go directly into innovation once we get the education investment up, because that will allow us to have more education investment, which will increase literacy. Let me see. There's a diplomatic play in Senegal. We got fascist Senegal going after Senegal. That's wild. Huh. Senegal would give us a state if we helped. Senegalese windward coast. Hold up. I'm trying to find the windward coast, y'all. Am I truly this ignorant of African geography? Where's the windward coast? Help! This is Senegalese windward coast. Between Dutch and American Senegal, that doesn't seem good. I don't know about that, friend. Neutral. We're a neutral power now. Okay, so Croatian uprising happening in Austria. Could get an obligation, don't necessarily want one. Alright, so we'll kind of let that go for now. We got a bunch of people trying to do a technocracy, but nobody that matters. No offense to the petite bourgeoisie or nothing. I don't like them. I don't feel they have anything to offer Brazil, really. I think I overbuilt government sectors because our bureaucracy is really high. Modern port method will get us way more... will cost a bunch of oil, but get us way more convoys. I'm going to do it. And how does that affect oil prices? They're not ridiculous. They're high, but not ridiculous, which is just fine. We can go ahead and increase oil output anytime we like. Let's build up oil infrastructure in Zulia. Ooh, now there's oil in Minas Gerais. We'll build 10 in each of these areas. Oh, Minas Gerais only has 2. We'll build 10 more in Zulia. That'll be nice. A little something to shell out government money for. Alright, 78% force comparison. Nobody has intervened, so I think we're basically good to go with this. 2 arms. We're at 13 infamy, so we got to be a little bit careful, but other than that, we can mostly just kind of vibe at this point. Where are we with our truce with Chile? 6 months left. So we'll be able to go after them in pretty good time overall, I think. Let's just look at the battle here. It's looking pretty solid. Feeling pretty confident overall. Greek mass immigration to Amazonas. Excellent. They do have a reasonably strong army with skirmish infantry and shrapnel artillery, but we've got many more troops than they do, so I'm feeling overall pretty confident in our ability to win that battle. Honduras we can definitely turn into a dominion pretty soon, and then we can go after El Salvador eventually. And maybe the USA can also partition Mexico, but we'll see about that. I don't need to necessarily worry about any kind of... I don't want to go after America. They're feeling pretty pleased about us, and I'm feeling pretty pleased about them. But they've got a lot of armies. Our army is not as big as America's. Let's see where we are. We're higher prestige than them. Our economy is number 2. We've surpassed Great Qing and France. And now we're second only to Great Britain, which is pretty rad. We're still working on surpassing France from a prestige perspective, but I think we can get there through a pretty straightforward naval expansion. So I'm feeling pretty confident in our ability to do whatever we wish to do. We've got Nicaragua fully occupied now, so that's just going to be a matter of getting those things built. Let's go ahead and electrify some more states. We got 3 states in former Argentina that have textile mills that we could advance the production methods of. So we got 1 level in Corrientes, 1 level in Cordoba, and 6 levels in Buenos Aires. Oh my goodness. None of these are even using sewing machines. What did this happen? Did I goof this up? Somehow? I thought I did this last episode. Maybe I made a mistake. Alright. So, if I go to electrics, we'll need... Yeah. Alright. So we need basically 1 level of power plants in each state. We'll go after that first. Theory and practice. Several prominent positivist reform advocates have become entangled in a dispute with the positivist church over their political activities. The orthodox stance of the church is that its members should not be carrying out political activities outside of itself. 2 stacks of letters were on the director's desk, one from the clerics of the positivist church, and the other from a loose assortment of practitioners somewhere in the government. All of them were in one small group of subjects: denouncement of this rival, support of this ally, a plea for support, or a warning to stay out of a ploy. He reached for the decanter of rum. Politics, it seems, is inherent to any church. The church is not the sole arbiter of the cause. Increased political strength of academics, engineers, and officers, or their practices represent a breach of positivist principles. Weakened intelligentsia. I'm going to go with the first one. I don't want to weaken the intelligentsia any more than I have done, and the intelligentsia are the basis of our government. And indeed will be for many a time. Our current emperor is 66. The next emperor is currently 12. So I'm hoping our current guy can live a little longer, and we can be just fine to go about that. Laotian uprising, will you give us piles of cash to help you, France? No? Okay, alright, we won't worry about it then. Relations are good with France. They're could be better with Britain. Well, they're pretty good with Britain, but they're cautious towards us. Austria, they're good. Italy, they're good. Very good. Prussia, they're all set. Scandinavia, they're just fine. And minor European powers, they're doing all right. Russia's only cordial. Let's go ahead and improve relations with Russia. So we'll go ahead and reset production methods in Nicaragua. We'll do the textile mills manually. Oh, they're already on this method. Wonderful. All right. And we'll go ahead and get them started being incorporated. Reset production methods. Kablam. We'll put electrics active in all of the other states. I think that should be fine for our shipyards. I think that should be completely reasonable. Where are we with Chile? Another 5 weeks. So I think we can go ahead and kick off the diplomatic play for that, and then we'll do the war next episode. And that'll be just fine. So, we fought off a Patagonian rebellion. We took over Nicaragua. And we're continuing to... I think we've got Costa Rica close to incorporated. We've got positivists doing stuff, but that shouldn't be much of an issue. I don't really concern myself with those guys. I think they're just being silly here. We got radio in progress. We'll go ahead and start building electrics industries. There's actually electrics industries already being built, so that should be increasing standard of living because people get to buy telephones. But we'll get them building radios pretty soon. That'll allow us to upgrade our artillery, and that'll be really nice. So I think after we do all this stuff in social, maybe we'll circle back to military and finish out the tier 4 ones, and then we'll grab NCO training for the squad infantry, and that'll be nice. Alright, Chile, it's time. Oh, Vital is our new emperor. Francisco Xavier de Boraper Rohan has died. Vital de Boraper Rohan is the new emperor. Alright, he is a child. He is a reformer. He aligns with the intelligentsia. This is reducing our authority significantly and has cost us some bureaucracy. Interesting. We're definitely going to need to build up a little bit more governing capacity in order to make sure that things stay solid with that. We'll build that in Rio de Janeiro. I can go ahead and cut consumption tax. Finances are doing better. Will Chile accept? 18% chance they will accept. Let's go ahead and confirm. And they said yes. Wonderful. Oh, that makes things so much easier. All right. We'll go ahead and reset production methods in all of these places. The only thing we can't change is textile mills. So we'll do those manually. Set them to sewing machines. Sewing machines. Sewing machines. And you're not going to believe this, in Patagonia, we're going to grab the textile mills and we're going to set them to sewing machines. Alright, we absolutely need to start getting these states incorporated as well. It's actually not going to take that much bureaucracy. We'll definitely tolerate the bureaucracy expenditure. The lower ones are going to be harder. North German mass migration, that's just fine. What do the populations look like around here? We got Patagonian people who are indigenous South American, so they'll be discriminated. But South Indian people will not be. And Platonian people will not be either. So, Chilean people. Yeah. So neither of them will be discriminated, so we can still have these as incorporated territories for sure. And that'll be just fine. And Chilean is a Hispanophone and European heritage culture, so they can be accepted in Brazil, no problem. And I think we are building up basically just about enough government bureaucracy to be able to incorporate these territories. We'll go ahead and get our power plants built up in these areas as well. I think all of them had textile mills. Hell on Earth. Let's launch that inquiry. Well, we did a lot of work. But South America is pretty much completely within our control at this point. I'm going to turn the Mosquito Kingdom into... no, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I am going to ban slavery there. I don't need them to be a dominion, but banning slavery is good. Alright, they've accepted. Wonderful. So probably we'll need to fight a war to help the government keep control of the country, and that is just fine. I think we can go ahead and stop suppressing the landowners at this stage. This suppression is only causing minus 30% interest group attraction. They're 3.4. Nah, they can probably still get above 4.5. They can probably still get above 5% if we stop suppressing them. So I'm going to give it a little longer. It is eating up a lot of our authority doing this, but part of that is that we're low authority because we've got a kid in charge. Capitalist revolt in El Salvador. Ooh. Do you hear that too? The invention of the telephone has opened the door to great improvements in our communications, or in our electricity industry. A shiver ran down the assistant's spine when he thought he was hearing his master's voice in the cold, dusty cellar. Do you understand what I say? The man stopped, almost dropping the wooden box he was carrying, dimly lit by the candles carefully placed around the revolutionary device, half machine, half human. Yes. Come here immediately. We have something in our hands, kid. We should improve our communications. 6K progress on radio. We're almost done with radio already. Just write a letter. Electricity is for the industry. 33% electric industry throughput. All right, we'll do the second one, and that'll be nice. El Salvadorian capitalist revolt. Russia is getting involved. We can offer support, all they'll give us as an obligation, so that's not necessarily something we need to concern ourselves with. That said, how much longer until we get radio research? That's going to be 7 weeks. We'll handle that at the beginning of the next episode. For now, I've had fun. I hope you all have had fun. And I will see you on the other side.